crazy, crazy story. And it's like no word of a lie, no exaggeration. Like there's no GST on this story. It sounds fucking mental. So one of my friends who was also the lead bully. So this guy used to, because he loved sport, but he wasn't as good as it. So he always used to, every time I'd come home from nationals and like whatever, he'd be that, because he was a popular kid. He was the most popular. So he was a massive bully, but every now and then we'd get along. It was usually after I would fight him and then it would get sweet. Anyway, so he was a massive Broncos fan and still is to this day. And we were sitting at lunch and he said to me, bro, you've got to come away to confraternity because I guarantee you'll be scouted by the Broncos. And I was like, I just kind of like didn't think about it. And everyone else around the table was like, nah, no chance. Like at this point, Darius Boyd, Stevie Michaels were like the big dogs in Gold Coast. Yep. And they were like, look, he's good for like us, but we are a non-footy team, a non-footy school. He's not good compared to guys like Stevie Michaels, Darius Boyd, all the guns that were coming out of school at that time. And he was the only guy that was like, nah, he absolutely will get scouted by the Broncos. And it's like, it's that bizarre, what's so bizarre is this guy that was like the lead bully throughout my whole high school thing was still, I guess, man enough or whatever to say that the Broncos will scout you. Anyway, so I was like, you know what, I'll go. I think the school even like fundraised a little bit, chipped in some money for me to go. Yep. Went up there. I think one game I scored like 5-6 tries or something and just went okay and won the player with the most potential. And even then, so I was real sick on the last day. And again, in my head, I was like, I don't care about rugby league. I'm just here to play with my mates, have a bit of fun. Yep. I want to play with the most potential. Got up when got the award, which was Ivan Henjak, which was their scout at the time. And he just said, at this point, you weren't allowed to speak to anyone else if you were contracted to a club. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, I don't know if you're contracted with another club, so please let us know if that's not the case. Like, if we're not allowed to talk to you, please let us know. And I was like, I just didn't, because I was so sick, I didn't even listen. Anyway, probably a week went by, and I told my parents that I had one player with the most potential, and they wanted me to go to this development camp. And I was like, so my parents were like, what the hell? So my dad rang the Broncos, asked to speak to Wayne, and said to him, we've got our kid, you've asked him to go to a development camp, but he doesn't play rugby league, so we don't understand what you want or whatever. And they were like, what do you mean he doesn't play rugby league? Like, he doesn't play with a club or a team or contract or whatever? And he's like, no, he doesn't play rugby league. He's going to nationals for soccer literally next week. And so Wayne was like, he was like, what, really? Okay. And then so there was a development camp at the end of the year for the development guys, and development guys are like, maybe one out of them might get a contract coming out of school, but they're usually the just in case. They're like where you pour water through, the sifter. Yep. And just in case one stays. Yep. Then there's the elite camp, and that's the guys that are, making your state teams, and pretty much they're going to get some kind of contract when they leave school. Not a big one, but some kind of contract. And so they said, don't come to our development camp. We want you immediately at our elite camp. So I went to the elite camp, rocked up, didn't know anything I didn't know nothing, but I was a competitor and really fast, good footwork. And they loved that. I think there was like one moment where this guy made a break and everyone else stopped chasing. I chased him, I caught him, and I think they just loved that. So they sat me down and said, look, we would love you to come to play for our under-19s Broncos side next year, because 20s wasn't in the comp then. Yep. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll have a think about it. Went to the Queensland Roar at the time and was like, look, the Broncos are interested in me in a contract. What do you guys think? And they said, well, it's obviously your decision. But at this point, when I was 16 years old, I was in the Queensland Roar's reserve grade squad. So that's like being in the Clydesdale's Q Cup.
Yep.
So it's pretty big. It's huge. Yeah. It's like the best of the best are only going to do that. And so they pretty much said, look, you'll probably play A-League in 2 years if you stay. And at that point, I was like, oh, okay, sweet. Like, that didn't deter me, the 2 years thing, because I was like, okay, that sounds about right. And then AFL heard about a kid that had the ability to change fucking sports or whatever. So I sat down and had a lunch with the Brisbane Lions, and they said, look, if you come across to us, we promise to train you personally, individually, full-time for 6 months and fast-track you to the draft. We'll take you to the draft, and then, if you get picked up, you get picked up. And I was like, fuck, all right, sweet. So I had to think about it. My dad loved AFL.
3 codes to choose from.
Yeah. Well, at the time, it didn't feel like that. But now when you look back, that's
an incredible story, eh?